the family that was built around this film, starting with the writer and him being a really close friend of mine from film school, Joel Taylor. So it being his script was so special to me, and I thought that that would be a great way to kind of like introduce myself to the feature world. And I loved his script too. And when you think about your first feature, it is something that, you know, you can't do again. You know, once it's out there in the world, that's the first thing that introduces you to people. And so you want it to be a story that allows people to understand who you are as a visual storyteller. So no matter what film you go on and do, you know, no matter how big the budget is, no matter what the genre, if you move on to sci-fi or horror, people can always go back to that first film, whether it's like Fruitvale or Whiplash or whatever, and say that was their start, that's who they are at their core, and perhaps they'll go back to that, or we'll always remember that that is their voice, their pure voice that they started with. So this script seemed perfect to introduce the world to me.
Well, let's talk about that, because there's a lot of cultural references in this movie, some that Sierra's character referenced directly. But what were some of the specific touchstones for you that you wanted to invoke with this movie?
It is super Black, and I love that. It is a very Black film, but it also reiterates the idea that Black people are not a monolith, like we're not all the same, even though there is like a huge sense of familiarity. And what I hope is that no matter where you grew up, even across the globe as a Black person, you'll find a piece of yourself, a piece of your family in the film. But at the same time, I love the just, you know, the badass kids, you know, and how Brandon is responsible for like taking care of them, and his relationship with them, and how he speaks to them, and how they relate to him, and how they love him. And I love his relationship with Janice. And I also just love even the school relationships, because how we educate our kids and the educators that really care about our kids, it's a different language and it's a different approach. And I love that.
I mean, and you name drop, you know, Tarantino and...
Do I name drop him?
Well,
or do we just like, you know, mention him sort of critically?
I think, whether it's, you know, I think, I mean, these movies that some of the references are not necessarily very Black, and was it important to you to like kind of find a new angle or like reinvent that formula in some ways?
What I love about Cassidy is that she is very much what I would love to describe as like a girl you see walking down like Slauson or Crenshaw that, you know, is regular but also stands out, right? But then I love that there's another aspect to her, which is the aspect that exists in all of like our Black kids, whether they're film nerds or video game nerds or anime or whatever it is that they love. That's not new or foreign or that big of a deal. You know, there's like so many kids that love things outside of what seems like our normal Black culture or like our particular Black culture that they, you know, have access to and have every right to kind of like love and bring into their world. So I love that, you know, she loves, you know, Dazed and Confused and Tarantino's films, you know, we all do.
Algee, you know, your character in this is kind of living in two worlds. You've got like a very grounded reality dealing with young kids and a mom and lots of other just problems, but then you have this kind of movie fantasy that you're able to go off on. You know, what were some of the challenges of your character and really being able to root yourself in you know, have some fun with it, but also be able to root yourself in the harder moments?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that me and Thembi talked about a lot were making sure Brandon wasn't just like one-dimensional, and making sure that you still saw moments of joy in his life through all the crap that was going on. You can still see him smiling. You can still see him having personality. You still see him being able to have fun when he's with Cassidy, when he's expressing that side of himself. So that's one thing that was challenging, because you had to know when to do that and how to do it, and subtly, and not do it too much. And so I think just with her help and also with Sierra's help, we were able to do that really well.
And Sierra, you just come into this movie just with a statement, just like a whirlwind. What was it like for you, you know, inhabiting Cassidy and some of the nuances of her character?
It was definitely an exhilarating experience. A lot of introspective work had to be done. It was definitely a challenge for me, but it was a great escape and a great way for me to also imitate what I wish I could in my real life. It was actually therapy doing this film. It was such a freeing experience, and I had a great time developing the character with Thembi and as well as Algee, and just figuring out the relationships between Brandon and Cassidy, and what is it about Cassidy that he sees in him, and what exactly does she represent? I don't want to give away anything in the film, but there's a lot of parts that almost I feel like mirror what he's really thinking or feeling from her relationship with him. So yeah.
I mean, what was the chemistry like between you two? How did you find it? When did you meet and start to work on this together and find that romance and spark between you two?
We found it in a lot of rehearsal. We found it, and it was beautiful because we got to experience that before we even had cameras in our face. So we established just the different range of emotions that we were going to go through with each other, whether that was happy, sad, angry with each other, very sensual with each other. Just so when we got on set, it wasn't hard to get there.
Yeah.
Sanaa, how did you get involved in this project? And I know you're a first-time filmmaker yourself, fairly recently. What were some of the conversations that you had between the two of you?
I just was struck by the script and the character. I come from the theater and I love acting, and I'm at a time in my life where I'm really craving to, play characters and where I can transform and be different than, throw back to like what I did a lot in theater. And so that Janice was just so familiar to me because I know this woman from growing up, being Black in America and kind of having to raise myself. But I digress. But that's part of the reason why I really connected with the script, is that this was familiar, but it was layered. And then I talked to Thembi, and I am all about uplifting Black women, period. And it is so exciting to see so many women and women of color behind the camera. And I wanted to do everything I could to support that. And I'm just so proud of how it's all turned out. And yeah.
How does Thembi work as a director compared to other people you've worked with? What was that relationship like on set?
It was wonderful because, I was in and out, and, obviously the director, the energy of the director really, it translates throughout the whole set, from the producers to your lighting people to the craft service people, and it was a very happy set. I knew what she was going through. I knew how she had to make her days and the pressure on her, and she never let it show. And we still always had time, because there were a lot of complicated, dramatic scenes that sometimes you have to work out, and I always felt the time I didn't feel rushed, which was really great.
Yeah.
So it was great. It definitely felt like a feminine energy behind the camera, but it was sure, and it was clear that she had a real vision.
Wait, can I just say something also? We had a really great moment where you took the picture, right?
What picture?
Remember we found a Janice on the street?
Yes, yes.
So, and this is like why it's so great to like work with your people and work with people who you just have like a great shorthand with, And we talked a lot about Janice and how she looked, and I always have so much fun crafting the character, and it's just so fun to talk to Sanaa and Sierra and be like, what's your hair gonna be like?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it like this or like that? And being able to have those conversations with Sanaa, it was like, now how bad is the wig supposed to be? Like, it's supposed to be like this bad or that?
Bad wig.
We gonna show these cornrows. That was so fun. So we had the verbal discussion, and like, we see Janice, we know who she is. And then Sanaa like snuck a picture like we do sometimes. And she was like, I saw Janice on the street. And she sent me and the costume designer a picture, and I was like, that is Janice. Her name is like Sheila. And she was just getting off work. And it was,
she had like a blue wig.
She did. And she was, I was
and
like,
some like checkered leggings.
and I feel like she had the Crocs on. Yeah. And I was just like, perfecto. Like, that's her.
What were some of your biggest challenges on this movie? I mean, for any of you?
not speaking like craft wise, but I guess kind of it was just like the demand of time for me. This was the first time that I've led a film, so it was just like every scene you're on, and so like going through those different range of emotions back to back like that was probably the hardest thing for me.
I knew that it would be a challenge because this was a big role and it was very significant to the film. So I would say probably, we've talked about this before, the night shoots. It was a lot of shooting at night. And, you know, when you read the script, you don't realize exactly how many things are shot at night because you just love the story and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to be a part of it. But I had never shot nights before,
That's
ever.
a different kind of pain.
Yeah, so having to have the energy and bring all of these different layers and nuances to the character, but not seem tired or exhausted, that would probably have been the biggest challenge.
There's a couple of times in them night scenes, we just behind the camera, just like,
Oh my
You
God.
get delusional. You're like, what am I doing?
I already had 3 of them. I'm still over here.
So true.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Coffee is not working. Exactly.
So true.